Oh, let's go. Are we in? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're back, baby. It's podcast day. It's actually the perfect day to do the podcast, I think. I don't think we've ever nailed the timing quite like this. Usually we always, something goes wrong. Do you know what I mean? Or like we do it and then it's too late or whatever.
Something happens right, like
something happens right when it uploads.
Before we upload.
Absolutely lame. But today, we've hit the news on the head, I think. Unless later tonight it all goes crazy, or we get confirmations or whatever. But it's a big day because we do have some confirmations. We've got some Rostermania stuff. We've got actually plenty of drama. No surprises there. It's COD, baby. And then, yeah, OpTic iLLeY stuff. Wow. It's a big week. We got the boys back. Crone isn't here this week because I think his youngest son is some sort of surgery going on. So hopefully that goes well. So he's stepping out for this week. So to make sure that's all good because, take care of the son. Absolute number one priority.
And then we traded him out for another New Zealander.
We did. We traded him out. Lion's back.
Yeah.
What have you been up to? I mean, you driving back? Like you seem quite fresh this morning, to be honest.
You've been up with a girl, seeing a girl.
Okay, yeah. Okay. It takes you an hour to drive?
Well, she lives tough. No, I had to drop her at work.
Okay. I see.
Yeah, and then we got coffee, and then now.
Okay. So it's not that far of a drive.
No, well, it's like half an hour.
You should do this more often. Up early, I like that.
Yeah, compromise my fucking week. Yes.
I thought you were in a mall for a second.
Yeah, I was about confused as well. That's good, boys. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oh, hang on, no. Hang on.
I need to reply to you because you've got the most clout, and then I.
Is that how it works?
Yeah. If you reply to me,
a good meme. It's a good meme. I like that one. Okay, well, it's not. To be fair, it's not the greatest meme in the world, but it's kind of like a classic. I thought, you just got to bring these ones back. Evening, gentlemen. So, yeah, plenty to discuss today. Austin's here. How are we doing?
Doing good.
Been getting through all the alcohol?
Still has not been touched.
Fair play. I thought, honestly, after Major 3, man, another second place finish. If you go
what did I tell you guys?
Again,
didn't I tell you guys that if I came in second, you wouldn't see me again?
Did you say that? Damn.
I think so.
Hope you lot win or third. Or, I don't need to place too bad. That'd be sad. But I believe in the comeback for FaZe. Your second favorite part of Tuesday? Interesting, Roosevelt. Anyway, cool. We got the boys. We can crack on whenever. What are we thinking, Omar? Oh, wow, look at that. Look at that card from Lion.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, those are just fantastic. All right, it's just superb stuff. Okay, cool. Welcome to the chat. We're back in business. The boys are here. Ismail, yeah, what's good? Bonjour, ça va? Wow, that's a throwback. I had to do, at my school, we had to do French. It was, forced to do French to GCSE. So, well, we had was French absolutely forced, or do we have to just do one language? I think we just had to do one language. No, I actually think we had to do French. I think French was a must at ours. If people did French, if people did Spanish, I think or German, they had to do like that in addition. Actually, maybe I'm tripping. Maybe it's just forced a language. It might not just been French.
We had to do one.
I was trash at French.
We had to do one at least.
Blessed to get an A* in French.
We had a choice between Spanish, French, or Latin, and like the Spanish class filled up so quick, so I had to do Latin, and I don't know why I was learning.
I did Latin briefly for a couple of years, and I did ancient Greek to GCSE, which is good fun. Shout out. No one studies ancient Greek unless you go to a grammar school.
My ex-girlfriend took that at university, and she fucking went insane. She went insane.
I did not want to do it any further than that. There was a few blokes who went pretty hard in my class, and like they want to do it at A level and then do classics at uni, and that's not me. but you know, it was fun while it lasted. Nah, ancient Greek's actually class, mate. You got to think about like the hippopotamus or whatever. You take hippo and potamus, and then hippo is like the horse, and then potamus is like water. It's like water horse. So you just see words and you think like, damn, that's crazy. And
so they're like symbols that represent like prefixes and suffixes and.
I mean the ancient Greek alphabet, like the letters are just normal letters, but the alphabet is different. So like aren't
all languages based off Mesopotamian, which is like Greek?
Yeah, that sounds Greek to me. But there's almost like the yeah, I don't know, because then like there's the Germanic languages. I'm not really a linguist, but yeah. I love that from you, Sheriff Cod. Anyway, I think we crack on there. That's enough knowledge for the day about non-COD stuff. Okay, cool. What do we? Is it 70? Episode 70, baby. Let's absolutely get it. Okay, cool. I'll do a countdown. We get a 3, 2, 1. We get Omar. Awesome stuff. 3, 2, 1. All right, guys, time to go out back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome to episode 70 of the Breaking Point podcast. It's a cracking one today. We've hit the timing right on the head because a lot has happened over just the last few hours here. Confirmations, rumours with regard to roster changes ahead of Major 4. We're going to do all that type of stuff. We're also going to do brief predictions for how we think Major 4 might well play out over this coming week or so. But yeah, got the boys back in town today. Crone stepping out, Lion stepping back in, bright and early. Austin's here as well. How are you doing, Lion? I'm not even exactly sure where you are.
I don't know what setting I'm in. I'm at home, but I'm somewhere in the world. I'm glad
in the metaverse, maybe.
Yeah, it might be. And so, yeah, we're just going to talk fantasy, talk about the changes that have happened. A lot of drama this week, and as you said, perfectly timed. So I'm excited to talk today. How about you, Austin?
Oh, you know, just enjoying some nice Rostermania right before we finally start back up. Thank God we don't have another week, right? Imagine if we had another week break like was scheduled. So yeah, I'm ready to get back into it, man. I've been fiending.
Yeah, this break was actually pretty perfect, I think. Like the 2 weeks off, given the fact that it's a key Rostermania time, is fine. Like I think this actually makes a perfect sense having 2 weeks off before the final major and maybe like the middle major. I don't really know how it should be done ideally. But I don't know, like when you expect teams to make changes, have the 2 week break and then otherwise do like a 1 week break. I don't know. Just an idea, but also do another major. Come on, we need 5. But you know, that's okay. Let's do the stuff. Let's start with fantasy. Fantasy is available. It's live over at the Breaking Point website right now, breakingpoint.gg/fantasy. Head over, do your team. Oh, here we go. It's my team. It's on the screen. Love to see it. So yeah, here we go. This is the squad I went for. I like to go for an OpTic player because they usually fry in the qualifiers. Dashy for $10 though was a bit too much. I couldn't quite budget him in. $25 is quite hard to do this well. Yeah, I've gone for Neptune Sheriff. Also, shout out to everyone watching right now. I didn't really give enough credit to the boys watching right now and after the fact on all the platforms as well. We appreciate all of you every single week. I've gone Neptune though because $4, that's for sure a bargain. You guys must be faded if you don't think Neptune's a good value for $4. Like he could come in and fry on LAG. I don't necessarily think he will. But for $4, that's pretty good value because it's difficult to make a good team with these players. So I've gone for Shotzzy just because I really like to go Dashy if I can because he's just generally guaranteed good points. But I couldn't really make the budget work. So I went Neptune for 4 to balance it out. Then Afro for 5. I could have gone iLLeY, but as we'll talk about here, iLLeY might not have been, well, it might actually work out okay, as we'll discuss here in a second. But Afro... London don't have the greatest schedule, but they don't have the worst one, I don't think. And Afro usually fries online as well. So I feel like I'll give him the props and then also Attach, still for $7 because Attach was a bargain in Major 3. He was a bargain at the Major. And then because they didn't place very well at the Major, I think he's still kind of a bargain. So I don't know. This I think it's a solid team. I think there's definitely some better picks here somewhere. But I don't know. I know Lion has similar ideas to me here. So I feel like I'm along the right lines.
Oh, so because you're similar to me,
I'm thinking I've done it right. I think I've done it right, yeah.
I see. Well, I fucked up a little bit because I forgot that qualifiers and major are separated. So I kind of went based on placing as well. So I went with 2 OpTic members. I started off with Shotzzy. $9. Good pick, reliable pick. Actually, very good for qualifiers because we've taken a look at his online stats. Ridiculous. We'll see. Neptune was second, $4. Obviously, an easy pick. He has the opportunity to fry. He's on a new squad. The expectations are super low, which is why he's $4. But it's possible that he could fry like he did at parts last year. Obviously, this year he wasn't very good, but we'll see. I went for Octane next because he's looking on the up. He's been playing great. And I think LA will probably have a pretty decent stage. And if they don't, do they make a change before the next, or before champs? Probably not.
Likely,
but I think if this team does bad, he'll be the fryer on this team regardless. And then I've gone for iLLeY, which is an interesting pick, which we'll get into soon. He was $5. I didn't have really any expectations for him stats-wise coming into this stage, but I think he would have been a safe pick if he was actually playing. But we are yet to confirm if he is playing or not. So I have Octane, iLLeY, Neptune, Shotzi. What about you, Austin?
Yeah, mine was actually pretty similar to yours. I thought about Neptune, but then I thought with his placement, I just don't think that LEG team's gonna do too hot. Like I think they're like a good candidate to go like 1-4, 0-5 if they don't like instantly like click. So I did not go with him. Instead, I went with another SMG, Vivid, who actually just got announced by Boston, and I thought that would would be a good pick to go with instead of Neptune, because I feel like a lot of people are going to go with Neptune. I also went with Afro because for $5, if this London team clicks, the reason why he is $5 because the team was struggling with Harry. If they go back to form or they had Gizmo, that was when Afro was $8-9 during the two fantasies that time around. So I thought maybe that's a good pick. So I went with those two. I had to pick at least one of my guys, so I went with Tyler, $9, and then to round it out, I went with iLLeY, which might not even be playing. So yeah, baby.
I mean, do you want to explain like the situation there? Because if people have picked iLLeY like already and happen to be watching, then like what's going to happen?
So the way we are doing it, because obviously we know there's roster change coming for a certain number of teams. Obviously, some of them have been announced, some of them are still being figured out. We don't really know. But the way we're doing the ruling is, so let's say, I honestly, I do not know if this is the case, but if iLLeY does not play, his substitute, if announced before the first game on Friday, let's say if it is Prolute, my iLLeY spot would turn into Prolute. The same thing goes to any other roster changes that are announced before Friday. If nothing is announced before Friday and somebody gets benched, so let's say that I highly, highly doubt this is going to happen, we decide to bench Tyler or Vivid or Afro or whatever. 3 weeks from now or 2 weeks from now for the third week, that does not get changed. You are stuck with whoever you have then. So we wanted to give that a little gloss over. So just keep up with the rumors or whatever you want. But that's our change to make it fair for everyone going into it. So yeah. So worst case, if you do have iLLeY, and he is playing, and then you have iLLeY. And if he doesn't play and they announce it before Friday, then you have whoever his replacement is. And if he decides to play 1 week but not the other week, well then you're stuck with his 1 week performance. So that's just the middle ground we came up with for that. So shout out Brandon for it.
It's tough scenes, but like, that's just how it goes sometimes. But, obviously this is a different situation, but usually, ideally you want to get punished a bit if you pick a player that gets benched, because it's kind of your fault. But in this case, it's not really your fault. So a bit of a grey area. But I think let's just dive straight into the iLLeY stuff, because that's kind of like top of the agenda here. We were going to talk about it later on, but just because it's relevant, I think we'll dive into it, because the last few days we've heard a bit from the OpTic camp that, okay, iLLeY's back in practice. Like they said, his thumb feels a lot better. He was doing well. But Scump also said that they were only doing one set of scrims a day, or like at least on a couple of days they were only doing one set, which I thought was rather interesting, just because if iLLeY was at full capacity, you would have thought that they'd have just, got back in, because most teams do 2 sets of scrims a day, right? Maybe even 3 on certain days. But one is like definitely easing him in. And I'm pretty sure he was still in Canada, and imagine he still is, with the intention of coming back to Texas when he's ready. So it didn't seem like they were 100% confident, right, that he was going to be okay. Because if they were, then he'd probably be straight back into Texas and playing all the scrim matches. So anyway, the days go by. we don't really hear that much about it, but Prolute, of course, goes back to Challengers, joins the Clayster team with Fellow and Brack, comes second at the Challengers Cup number 12, and seems to kind of indicate that he reckons he's going to be out for the rest of the year. Now, earlier today, we then get this. I don't know if you can bring it up, Omar, but just a couple of images from what was spotted on Prolute's story. He puts out an image where I'm not sure this is the transition, but it's good enough. We'll get to that a little bit. And anyway, I think you can still hear me. Okay, here we go. We got there. So I guess that was the stinger, but it's fine. It looks pretty good. It's all good. So anyway, here we go. This is the image that was put out right here for Prolute. And as he says, if we we might not be able to see the image full screen. You get the picture. He's at the airport. He's at Newark Airport. He's flying out next to Gate 38. And you can also see at the bottom here, it's a JetBlue tug thing on the left-hand side. And even this kind of yellow thing at the bottom says JetBlue on it. So effectively, people, you know how it is, do the research, look up what flight this might have been. I looked it up myself on Flight Tracker to find a flight from Newark Airport at around about this time from around about this gate. A JetBlue plane. Turns out there was a flight at around about this time from Newark to Dallas going from Gate 37, which of course makes sense because he's right next to Gate 38. So, fair play. The Reddit researchers, they've done it again. And they've absolutely fried. So yes, it looks like Prolute's back in Texas. That is what pretty much everything points towards right now. And also the key point is he's not just back in Texas for content or whatever the case might be, or just in case they need a sub live in the station, but he's actually left the Clayster team, right? He's gone from Clayster's team. Cap still is there instead. And there is surely no reason why that would be the case unless he was back in the starting team. So it's not been confirmed as of doing this podcast, but Crone seems to believe, and all the evidence points towards the fact that, again, iLLeY's thumb, I guess, is not cooperating, and he's going to have to be out of the team again. And if he's out of the team now, after the procedure, I just can't see a way that he's back before the end of the year. It might be iLLeY's season done, and that's awful for iLLeY. I feel awful for him, especially because of the type of player he is, right? COD is everything to him. So it's really tough. And if that is the case, of course, and if he can't get back for the rest of the year, does it mean surgery? Does it mean whatever? I'm sure there's going to be more doctor's appointments on the horizon. But it's also not good news for OpTic, right? Because they were confident that iLLeY was back, when he was back, that they were going to hit form again. And they've not quite looked the same, especially on LAN with Prolute. And Ramba even said at the time that the lack of leadership in key moments was an issue without iLLeY. So, it might be time just to knuckle down and get on with it, because I'm not sure iLLeY's coming back for the rest of the year. What do we think, Austin? It's kind of very new news as of recording this episode, but it's not good news for the OpTic camp.
Yeah, so part of me doesn't want to just jump onto the fact that it could be his thumb. Part of me is thinking maybe it has something to do with his visa because he's in Canada, or he was in Canada still. I don't know if he still is. So that could be a reason. Maybe that could be something that's just a roadblock for now. But the hard thing to think about is no one really knows what the injury is to his thumb. If it is a cyst, which would make sense, even though they've said it's not a cyst, draining is something you do with the pus of a cyst. That's something that's really touchy. So I did have a cyst near my waistline. I had it drained, and then a week later I was playing basketball. It just got irritated, and it was literally the size of a golf ball within 30 minutes, and I had to go into surgery after they told me I would be good for a while. So I know stuff like that is just really sensitive, and it's just sometimes you just don't react. You're reacting well, you're doing well, and then all of a sudden you're not. But I don't really want to go off of that, just because you never really know what it is until they absolutely say it. So it could just be a visa thing or something like that. But honestly, it's a little bit worrying that Prolute left his team, his amateur team that's supposed to be playing in 3 hours in the elite. He left them 1 week before playoffs, which you wouldn't do if you were just going there for content, as you said. So it's a little bit concerning, considering that the team also hasn't practiced. They haven't gone as hard as other teams will say. I don't really know, but I'm assuming they haven't practiced as much as the other teams in the league, which is a little bit concerning, because now you're going to be going now. If he is rejoining, then you have to restart practice about what is this, 3 or 4 days before they play. So it's a little bit just a roadblock, a little bit of delay. Like they can instantly come back, get back into form within a week or two, but it could take some time, which is just a little bit of a red flag. It does suck for iLLeY though. One thing I will say is like obviously gamers, it's really important to be stretching. Anything to do with your hands, anything to do with like your ears, eyes, you really want to like take care of your body. I hope he's gonna be okay. Like, long-term health should always be the priority in this situation. So if they are worried about it at all, like hopefully he's just okay in the long term. Like figure it out now, get him healthy, do what's right by the player, because that should be what's important in this situation. So I do hope he's doing okay. If it is that, if it's not, maybe it's a little bit of an overreaction because of his past situation. But I really do hope he's doing okay.
Yeah, the problem I see is that he keeps trying to come back, and it seems like he's pushing it every single time, just a little bit too early, and then now he's out again. So I feel really bad for the OpTic guys because, again, they just can't escape these roadblocks every single year. They have these issues right before champs. And I feel like the team, they would have had enough time if they'd got iLLeY back before this major to be potentially at full power by the time champs came around. But, I mean, if he has to come back right before champs, I mean, what do you do in that situation? Do you keep Prolute? Because he's then been in the team for 2 stages in a row, or do you bring iLLeY straight back without practice, hasn't played since April? Like, what do you guys reckon?
If he doesn't play at the major, he's not going to play at champs.
Yeah.
There's about a week and a half. There's a week and a half break in the schedule, which means, so when you fly back on like a Monday or Tuesday after the major, right? And then you fly in about 8 days later into LA, that gives you probably 5 or 6 good days of practice. It's not enough to like reintegrate a player fully. So if he's not at the major, the chances of him playing at champs are really small, unless if they bomb out of the major and then want to make a big change.
That's just terrible. Yeah. Man. Yeah, tough scenes, but I agree with both of you guys. Look, we'll see when it gets confirmed, or if it does, whatever, by OpTic, then we'll see what they have to say. I'm sure we're going to get some reaction to it as well from the players over the coming days as well. But yeah, more than likely, that's the situation right now. But we've got plenty else to talk about on the roster front. But firstly, given we were talking about champs, we've got to mention it because official CDL champs was confirmed. Los Angeles, we're back again. No London yet, hopefully next year. August 4th through the 7th. Early for champs, in my opinion. Just goes to show, like, okay, first of all, let's just get this part out of the way. Like, look at this season schedule and tell me how it makes any sense. We've managed to have less COD. Like, how have you managed this? We've had the Prime, we've had the Kickoff Classic, but you've managed to go from 5 stages down to 4 stages, and champs is earlier. Like, okay, yes, they're blessed in a way, the fact that the game comes out earlier this year, like 2 weeks earlier, so the off-season isn't quite as long, but how is the season 6 months long? Like, are you actually taking the mick here? I don't understand how this competitive season starts in February and finishes right at the start of August. Like, I don't really understand that, Austin. Just perspective initially on this, because champs is just like, hella, it just gets earlier every year. You know what I mean? Does it not get earlier every year?
I feel like it's always been the middle of August, no? Like middle to late August? Yeah.
Like, 2 years ago, it was the 30th of August. 2020 champs was 30th of August. That's a fact, or something like that.
I mean, honestly, like I came up with my proposed format. I do not like. I personally think if the game is coming out in the fall, we need to start the season in the fall, and then go to August no matter what, and then have September and October off for like recuperation. I don't like the schedule this year. I don't like how the CDL is doing schedules at all. Kind of like it's just not my cup of tea at all for how they're doing it. I don't mind that the playoffs is 2 weeks right after the major. I kind of like that because it gives you a little tiny bit to like go home, rethink some things, tune up your S&D going into it because you really don't practice S&D at events, so you can kind of like revamp some stuff going into the last tournament. And if you won the last major, you kind of come in a little bit hot going into champs, which you should be rewarded for. So like I personally, I like that part of it, but I highly, highly dislike that the season's gonna be over now in 6 weeks, and then we're not gonna have anything for honestly 3 months. Like it's gonna be 3 months of nothing, and that is just disappointing. It just feels like wasted time. It feels like just missed opportunities. So I do hope again there's been a lot of criticism for the format this year, and I do hope they are taking that seriously, planning out next year, because they have ample time to make the changes that we have all been, trying to push for.
Yeah. I feel like your proposal for the format was absolutely perfect. The best thing I liked about it was you have playoffs. So playoffs isn't champs. It's the CDL playoffs. It's the same format as it is now. And then following that, you have champs, where it's 32 teams, 20 AM teams, the 12 pro teams. And the reason why that hasn't been a thing is because they don't want to mix franchise and non-franchise teams as much. So they did the pro-am. I think there was probably like a tester, but then they still don't want to be like a pioneer for franchise mixing with non-franchise teams. Like, has that ever been a thing in any sport? Not really, eh? No. And so why can't you be the pioneer to bring in the amateurs against the pros and have that be the storyline, and then build it up like this full-on champs of 32 teams? Everyone wants more teams. Why is that a problem? It's going to get more viewers. It's going to get, it's just better for the scene. And then it kind of rolls into the next thing we have, which is the 8-team Challenger Champs. It makes that viable because then you get 20 teams there instead of 8, and you can do the whole qualifiers and everything. And it's just, there's so much potential in the format, and we've seen it in the years past and how it can be done. It's not being done, and it's very sad.
Yeah, the way I tried to bring back the past with my proposed format is I did the 32 team tournament, but I only made the prize pool $500,000, and then I made the CDL playoffs part of it the same prize pool as it is right now. So in the CDL's eyes, that is still the crown jewel of the season. That's what you want to win. But we have a mixture of both, which is what I think everyone kind of wants right now. The thing with the amateur champs that pisses me off so much is you have a 12-team league with an 8-team playoff, right? And then they said, we have hundreds of amateur teams. Let's just take the same format as the 12-team league and use that for the one with hundreds of teams. It's just completely misses the point. It completely is just pretty much just makes it why watch it? It's just not at all what should be the amateur finals, the celebration of the season, which rewards the teams that have done well during the season. It just doesn't do that. And for those who don't know, there's 4 teams that automatically qualify for CDL points, right? They're for the pro points. So the pro points are majority based online. So there's a team, I think the Minnesota Rocker Academy should be at amateur champs, but they have not performed as well online, or on LAN, which could be a case of just tough matchups, whatever. But online, because the European side is so top heavy, they are able to make deep runs at every single cup, every single elite, because they're a good team. They deserve to be at the finals, right? But the North American side, it's a much more bigger group of competitive teams at the top. It's not just 8 teams. I think Europe has great teams. They have the top 4 or 6 teams are great, but in NA you have probably close to 15 teams that can compete. So it needs to be weighed differently, and it needs to be weighed based off online and LAN. So you can't just lump that all together and just be like, this is good. Yep, I'm gonna shoot that over there. We're good now, because this is not how it works. And then they have a 4-team qualifier, right? But it's 1 per region. So you have an APAC team, you have a Latin American team, you have a Europe, and an NA. So if the season ended right now, you would have 2 NA, 4 Europe, 1 Latin America, 1 APAC. I don't think that's indicative for who's the best in the world. And it could be. The best team could be a European team or an APAC team. But I want to see the best 16, best 32 teams in the world compete. Because quite honestly, last year, the team that won the amateur champs was the 9 seed, who wouldn't be there in this format. They just wouldn't be. The Mohawk team with them, they would not even be at this tournament. So I definitely think they need to reevaluate that. In my personal opinion, the bare minimum should be 16 teams. You do a GSL group stage with 4 groups, goes into a double-in bracket. What should be the case is champs. The weekend should be a celebration of the season. It should be, every team should be required to have a booth. All the sponsors should have booths. There should be amateur players playing Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The tournament starts for pros on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So then you have amateurs bleeding into the professional side. You have a lot of teams there doing merch, doing trying to get people excited to be at the venue, and then you have a celebration of the CDL season in 1 week. That is just not the case of what we have right now, and it's kind of disappointing. It's disappointing to say the least.
Yeah, and just having more teams makes winning the championship just more legitimate. Like there's more stakes almost because there are so many teams. There's way more variables, and maybe matchups for teams that are maybe little bit more obscure, that are lower down in the table. They might match up really well to a top team, cause an upset, and that's like the most exciting storylines for those events. Is those teams coming out of nowhere, those underdog teams performing well, like T1 Dotters in 2014 coming 5th. Like that's the best part about champs and having those massive like pools of teams, but. Hey, they used to have 8 pools of 4 at champs, and now it's like 8 talent. Well, it's not even. It's a bracket, for the finals for challenges.
Yeah,
not even pools.
It's the same exact format as the CDL.
Like the CDL.
Yeah.
Man,
they just copy and paste it.
Get it, man. It doesn't make any sense. Like it's just unforgivably ridiculous that they even think this is acceptable, in my opinion. I just can't I can't believe someone actually looked at this and said, yeah, okay, this is great. 4 top global points teams across, and that only really considers North America and Europe anyway, right? Because if you're an APAC team or Latin, you can't even get on that list because you don't have the it's basically impossible to even get on the list.
You can't go to the LANs. You're missing out all the pro points at the LANs. It should be weighed differently per region.
It's like the elite
regional tournaments.
Just like
they don't even have the elite.
Yeah, so an APAC or a Latin American team can't even get top 4 on that list anyway, so they have to qualify through the last chance qualifier anyway. So it's already biased against those regions, which maybe is fine, but like just the fact that they thought top 4 and then that's just run it is like,
yeah.
You want to hear the best kicker too? I absolutely love this. So they didn't announce the tournament until after stage 4 of the elite already started, right after the qualifiers, right? The best Latin American team. I love this, by the way. They took the risk, moved to Miami, and tried to compete for the NA Elite. Right? They wanted to try to move to NA and compete against the best. Right? They qualify for the elite. They make this crazy run on the qualifiers, qualify for the elite, only for the CDL to tell you if you played in the NA Elite qualifier, you're not allowed to go to the finals. But the NA qualifier already happened. They didn't tell them before that. They just completely just said, yeah. I mean, it sucks that you took a risk with your career and tried to make a better move out of it. But now you can't go to Latin America. Now you can't qualify from Latin America. So like they just got absolutely shafted because
so
this
bad,
one.
Like
I feel horrible because like those guys like.
So bad.
They aren't. I'm not gonna lie. They're not playing at the level as the North American teams are now in the elite. Like obviously they're taking steps and they're getting better, and that's the whole point of moving to NA to get better practice to learn. But they should be qualifying in the Latin American scene. Like that should be their qualifier. Just because they played in the elite in North America, which you should be trying to promote, by the way, you should be trying to get teams to come to North America to play. Like that, they should not be punished. I hate it. It's actually so sad to me that actually happened to them.
Before that team, I had no idea there was even a Latin American region. Not gonna lie, I didn't hear anything about it.
I don't blame you.
Marketing.
Did they ever tweet about it?
Nah.
You have to rely on the CDC update or whatever it is.
And they're not even posting. So it's just we have to rely on us at Breaking Point to talk about something we don't know about. Me, love it.
Yeah, I mean that story you mentioned, Austin, is just the most egregious. Like I can't imagine the CDL haven't looked at some of the backlash here. Like, what is all this bollocks about? We want to support our amateur scene. And then you hear stuff like that, stories of players from Latin America trying to become professional COD players, take a risk to go outside the region and just get shafted by a rule that they didn't even know existed. And then the CDL's like, unlucky lads, I guess, you'll chalk your careers, I guess, get a normal job. Like, what's surely that's not what the CDL should be implying here. So, I mean, look, Censor has come out and said, look, I'm not happy with this. Neither are like all the other amateurs, and the pros probably would have commented on it unless they were going to get fined for doing so. But lots of people signed the petition, right? Like 2,000 odd signatures or whatever. And Censor, even himself, he was trying to abuse the rules. And you can't blame him, right, for trying. I mean, the CDL said no, but he was like, look, I want to move to Mexico. Yannick Garcia is going to let me around her place, which seemed rather implausible in the first place. But he probably just joking about this anyway. But like,
no, he wasn't. That's the best part. No, he was going to move to Argentina until they told him no.
Wow,
he was looking at
about it.
That was what my tweet was about when I tweeted it. So he was dead serious in the group chats, looking up houses and internet lines in Argentina so he could fly to Argentina to play in the Latin American qualifier.
I love this guy, man. You can't not love this guy. Like, so, okay, that's what he was trying to do. He then tried to do the same thing for Spain because they then told him you can't go to Latin America, but you can go to Europe. And then he was going to do the same thing for Spain. And then they were like, no, sorry, you can't do that either. Which is fair enough, right? Like, I don't think you should be able to finesse it by moving to another region and taking their LCQ spot. But like, just, I don't know, the format kind of forces his hand, in a sense, to try it, right? Because there's no way he can qualify.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like they're creating these rules without letting anyone know, or they're doing them after people make moves saying, no, you can't do that. It's like, dude, make it obvious what the actual rules are from the start.
We should know this in November. You should know, even if you don't know when it is, when the amateur finals is, or if it's on LAN or online or whatever, you should have it in place at the beginning of the season so people know what to plan for, what to work for. Like if European players, because they all have to look for travel, someone to cover the travel or to save up for it, they should know in November when tournaments are planned, what to look forward to, what to try to get travel to, right? Like that, it shouldn't be a mystery until 4 weeks before it happens, or 6 weeks. Like it shouldn't be a mystery that close to the tournament.
Yeah, give it 2 years, man. We'll be running the league. It's okay. Then we'll have it set up perfectly.
It's just frustrating because it seems like it just seems like we're trying to copy a lot from like the Riot, like League of Legends, because I'm pretty sure doesn't the Academy League and the College League have the same format as like the actual Pro League in League of Legends? Like they do the same like bracket for the playoffs. It seems like they kind of just adopted that, but then like you have to take into account everyone's different situations. Like a European team, a North American team, and an APAC team, their points cannot be accumulated the same way. Like you have to put different like weights on everything because they just are. Everyone's in different circumstances, and it just seems so unfair for everyone involved. I saw a lot of like NA versus EU, like people were just mad at each other, and I'm like, you guys shouldn't be mad at each other. Like there should be at least six European teams. There should be at least 6 North American teams if you're going to do a 16-team tournament. Like there needs to be not be mad at each other, like be mad at the format, which is I think what everyone kind of like turned to. So it's just, I don't know. Stuff just has to, I wish they would just explain some of the reasonings on stuff because it could be smart. Maybe there's something where they could only have 8 for a certain reason, but they should have to be more like transparent and like explain some of the decisions, which obviously they're not going to do because they're a private company, but like they're privately doing the CDL, but like you have to still be somewhat open with the community, especially with the community that is trying to support their amateur players. It's just kind of, it just kind of hurts to watch. I just hope it gets better.
It's just pain, endless pain, but look, they get some things right, they get some things wrong. I just hope that they actually respond to this. Now, as you say, whether they explain why they've done it, like, or they say we're going to do this instead, I don't know. I don't really mind, but like, just give us something or some explanation or some sort of response, right? If they just blank the whole community on this issue, it's like, it's CDL doing CDL things again, even though, community updates, by the way.
What hurt the most too is, so they said there's only going to be 8 teams. There's a report comes out from, I think it's called The Rotation, that said $400,000 less in prize pool on the amateur side this year, right? And then they announce, so everyone's all pissed off, everyone's all like angry, and then the CDL goes, you know what banged in stage 3? Bounty matches. Let's bring those back. Let's announce it right now when the whole community is mad that you defunded a large chunk of the challenger scene. Like it just seems this, I don't know, like I read that and I was just like, damn, like that's kind of tone deaf, and like I just don't like how they didn't improve on the idea at all. They just said like, well, they're back, like we're gonna do it again, and like
free viewers, as Crone said.
Yeah. It just, I don't know. It just seems like that money, you could have changed that idea, made it better based off of how like it went in stage 3, or you could have put that towards something else. But I don't know.
Yeah, like
it is what
why
it is.
should it not be put towards like a drop for watching the matches?
That's what
like
it should
We
be.
gave them the
100%.
ideas, right? We gave them the
Exactly.
ideas
Yeah,
last time.
at the time, like that's going to get viewers, getting people to like potentially win 10
Reward
grand
your
by watching.
viewers. Reward
Bro.
your viewers.
Yeah, but
Reward
no.
Minnesota for beating Paris. That's what we do.
Yeah, yeah.
And Minnesota was probably hype.
Yeah, they're probably hype for sure. Anyway, I mean, look, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. The Bounty Week is back. It's just fantastic scenes. Let's just kind of round up the rest of Rostermania because we've already hit a lot of kind of key topics this week and it's getting frustrating. But, you know, let's talk more positive stuff because we've had some exciting roster stuff. Los Angeles Guerrillas confirmed their new team. We've got Neptune in, Gunless out, Spart back in, and Asim is gone. Now, the whole Asim question was a massive one this last week because Asim was trialing with Florida and I can only assume Florida wanted him before he then declined the opportunity and said, actually, no, I want to stay on LAG due to, I think he said kind of personal family reasons. Now, it's kind of tough to say what exactly that might be, but I think there's probably I honestly kind of like this idea from the team, to be honest, just because I think that there is a slim chance that they bring him back in anyway, depending on how things go with Hook in the team now, because it was a bit of a 50-50 as to whether Asim should have been gone or whether Hook should have been gone, I think, in a lot of people's minds. So maybe there's a world in which he comes in anyway, if they still suck, which is possible. Let's not beat around the bush there. Joining Florida might not have been great because they generally, let's just say they're a more frugal team than many. So your salary isn't going to be great. If they want to sign you to a deal where they can just extend you next year, he might think that actually staying on LAG is a better bet for him, just for the long term. And also in terms of stability, like as he said, family, personal stuff, maybe like he's helping fund his parents or family to do X, Y, Z, and he wants to have that secure, which is, you know, perfectly, justifiable explanation that we don't have any more details on. So it's tough to really speculate, but it definitely put Florida in a tough spot. But, you know, we'll talk about LAG, right? Because Asim gone, Hook is there, Hook and Neptune, the SMG duo, kind of like a Halo SMG duo. I think that Neptune could be better on this team than he was before, but I'm really not convinced that this SMG line is significantly better. Like, I don't think this team gets any better personally. But yeah, what do you reckon, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm really biased in the situation. I definitely don't think Asim should have been benched. I don't know about benching Gunless. I feel like that. I feel like they made roster changes because they were looking like, hey, we haven't got that many points. We got to make a change. We got to do something going into this. Like they had to do something. So, look, I don't know how good of a team they're going to be. I honestly thought if Asim went to the rumored Florida roster, that team would be a lot better than this LAG roster. I don't know. When the Volt got GA'd, their AR duo just didn't look like it had the same pace. They kind of looked like they were like lackluster. I mean, obviously, I like Spart as a player. I just feel like with the automaton and with some of the other pieces around him, it just didn't help him. And he had one of the worst stages in this whole CDL during stage 3, which, you know, he could easily bounce back because he had a fairly good tournament before that. But then you go in with Neptune and Hook, and I just think they're going to be very chaotic and very like just chow oriented. So they could be like a new look, kind of like Florida, where they're just like running at you and kind of like no rhyme or reason, but they're just kind of like trying to just keep the pace up, which could work, especially in this game. But I don't know. I just felt like Asim had been their best player for the majority of the season, and quite honestly, like I tried to explain on the subreddit that if you actually take out the attacking side KD on control, or if you weight it, like so obviously it's easier to get a higher KD on defense than it is on offense. So if you weigh it so they're weighed the same, his KD actually was way better because he had a really, really bad KD on the offensive side because he just is just very aggressive. If you're a bad attacking team, your SMGs are going to get the brunt of it. Your ARs can still get kills out of it because they can just kind of bait your SMGs. But Asim just had a really lackluster attacking side, which brought his KD down a shit ton. But if you weighed it, he was actually much better and great overall during the entire season. So I thought I was actually kind of hyped when I saw Chrome tweet out the rumored Florida roster, and I thought that was a good team. But look, it is what it is. I do hope maybe he gets a chance later in the season, but I do hope if he's still on the bench going into the off season, he's able to find a good home for next year.
Yeah, I would have liked Vivid and ASIM together as an SMG duo. Like because it would allow like ASIM to slow down and play more like he played last year when he was with Hydra for the most part. Well, actually, no, that's not true at all. That's not true at all because Hydra and Vivid are very different players. But I feel like he would have been comfortable in that position with, wow, I'm completely blanking, with Vivid. But yeah, you mentioned the current team. I feel like you were right. That's going to be very Chow heavy. It seems like they tried to just go with something completely fresh and hope that it sticks. Bring back Spart, try and get him at the same level he was at before. Slasher obviously staying. But what are your expectations for Neptune? Because he's coming into a pretty strange situation. Who's going to be the SMG that's aggressive out of him and Hook? Because Hook seems to be playing...
Oh, both of them. Yeah, I'm more worried about who's going to be taking the routes. Who's going to be taking the try to flip things? Who's going to be pushing out certain hills? Like, I just don't know if either of those two players are going to be doing that. It just looks like they're both kind of the same player. So it's going to be interesting who like takes up the mantle of doing like some of the extra stuff around the map, because it just can't be like one person doing that. Like, everyone's got to chip in on that, and it's just going to be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, but saying that, Hook hasn't even been aggressive this year. Like, his damage per minute is extremely low. Like, it's the same as ASIM, if not less. Like, he hasn't been the aggressor at all. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work.
I just feel like he's been off this season. I don't feel like he's been that crazy this season, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's the whole name value thing we talked about before.
Stage 2 finals playing great.
Yeah, I agree. That was his like best series for sure. But outside of that, he's been very lackluster. And yeah, the concern to me is it's kind of like I don't really see if this team kind of practiced as a squad long enough. I don't know. Maybe they had a couple of days of scrims and it was going great, but I just feel like a lot of these teams lately have done the whole trial thing, right? And same with Boston and Florida. Like, they've done the trials for at least a week and a bit, whereas what seemed to happen was that Florida were like trialing Neptune, and then LAG wanted him, got him, and then just like immediately locked him in. You know what I mean? Like, it seemed like it was a very quick turnaround there from seeing Neptune was available and just snapping him up and putting him in the starting team without maybe enough thought for like who should have been replaced, or maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe they just had one good set of scrims and were like, let's lock it in. But I feel like these other teams have taken more time in doing their trials and actually working out whether this new team is better than the old one, because I feel like this is almost like a panic button change when it's like, okay, well, this old team sucked. We're not going to make champs. So we keep going like this. We have to make a 2-man move. So Spart, you're back in, and then blow up the SMG duo and see who we can get. So I just don't really think it improves the squad, to be honest. I don't know if I'm less impressed by this SMG duo than the previous one, but I think I might be, to be honest. So I'm not convinced. But it's Neptune's chance of redemption, right? And his first series, he plays us up against New York, I think. So, or at least it's on the first weekend that they play matches. So, Neptune, if Neptune comes in and fries, then he proves it was all Crim's fault, I guess, or something. We'll see how that goes, Austin. Any final thoughts on this team before we talk Florida?
Hopefully it goes well. I feel like they might be a good S&D team. They could definitely be good in that. I have a feeling they're going to be sticking to the smaller maps, the like more chaotic, like Bocage, Tuscan. They could be good at that. So it's going to be interesting how they develop their map pool over the next like couple of weeks.
Yeah, I feel like that's the biggest part about new teams, is not having that wide map pool. And coming into champs, that's probably quite a detriment. So we'll see.
Yeah, agreed. Let's do Florida because they were kind of on the other side where they trialed out a little bit of Neptune. They tried out a little bit of, well, I mean, they've basically tried everyone, right? Because they told Vivid, they're like, we don't want to do anymore, you're gone, which already is like, I think that's a very questionable roster decision, which I think is going to come back to bite them personally. Because if Boston qualify for champs now and they don't, then they're going to look a little bit silly, to be honest, which is definitely a plausible possibility. We'll talk about that in a second. But they tried to get Vickle, I think it's Vickle, from the Ultra Academy North America, and they couldn't get him because of the student visa situation, which is unfortunate, but hopefully that gets figured out. But it's cool for Vickle that he's getting offers like this. Then they obviously wanted to see him that they couldn't get because he denied them. So now they're trying out 2Real, which I'm guessing they've locked in because I haven't heard anything else the last couple of days, alongside Sky's, Wake, and Major. Now there was like a bit of a leak, and I think someone explained this. Maybe you can shed some more light on this, Austin, because there was a leak that came out from Temp where they played a search and destroy scrim against the new Florida, and the team was listed as Sky's, Awakening, Major Maniac, and Dave Paddy, which would be effectively the 4AR lineup. And I was kind of wondering, okay, is that maybe like a search and destroy specialist team? Like, are they having no SMGs in search and having a different respawn team with a search, or with a substitute, or with an SMG player, right, as coming in as a respawn sub? Or is it like people were thinking that maybe it's because when they practice in these CDL settings, they play on like CDL servers where you need a CDL account, and if 2Real doesn't have a CDL account, he has to play on Dave Paddy's. Is that more like the explanation?
Yeah, no, that's what it is. So the CDL servers we play on, you need like special accounts for that are whitelisted for them, and that's why like when you see like a player go from like, so that's why you said you saw Major in the lobby.
Major was in the lobby. Dave Paddy was still in the lobby.
Yeah, because Major has a CDL account from when he was on Minnesota. 2Real, if that is him or if it's a different player, whether it could be anyone. If they weren't a CDL player before that, they're not going to have a CDL account to sign into. So that, if I had to guess, that would be my most likely explanation for that.
That's dumb. Why is that the case? I know why, but why is that actually the case?
Because if they're trialing and they're not actually if they're not signed to that person yet, you can't make them a CDL account. They have to be signed or like, that has to be. You can't just make everyone CDL accounts for like amateur players that might be on the team.
CDL account. That's what I say.
Yeah. So like that's why it is. So
who knows who it is? Extra ones where you can change the name.
No, you can't change the names.
No, I know, but like that's just ridiculous.
I mean, it's not that bad. It's
only because if it was a leak that was even a question. Like, if it wasn't leaked, then it wouldn't really be a talking point. So it's probably okay. The players probably don't mind. But anyway, I'm sure they're figuring out. But like the team of, let's say it is 2Real, who I don't really know that much about, like solid SMG, but probably not at the top of that list. Obviously, he was like 4th on that list, it seems. Sky's, Awakening, Major Maniac. I think the Major Maniac's an upgrade. I like that. I think you get more clutch factor, you get more search and destroy power. I think you get Dave Paddy's comms were good, but a similar player in terms of probably ability and pace. So it's effectively a 1-for-1 trade, but probably an upgrade there. I like that. I'm not sure I like it for Major Maniac necessarily, depending on the future of this team. But he wants to play, and I think this is a decent chance. But then your SMG is like, why would you just not have Vivid here instead? I don't really understand that. So, yeah, what do you think, Lion? I mean, this team, to me, if this team had like a seam or something, or like maybe a more proven SMG that maybe has a bit more experience and can adjust their pace a bit more, depending on what the team needs, I think I actually have some confidence that this team gets better. But with this roster, I'm really not convinced that it does. So, and I don't think that getting rid of Vivid is a good idea. I think it's a more questionable decision from the management side over there. But what do you reckon?
Well, it seems like, a seam would have been perfect, because I feel like a seam and Major together would have been like a great leadership like setting for those other 2 players, Skies and Wake, who haven't really had that sort of like direction. Like when we watch them play, it just seems like it's a little bit crazy. They love Bocage. They love the maps with a little bit more going on. Like frantic. And so I think, it does help having Major. It does give them a little bit more structure. But so they've got, oh man, just trying to look at some stats. Stats won't help. KD doesn't mean anything. But in reality, like I'm hopeful for this team, but it just doesn't look like they're going to make many strides. But we always see honeymoon phases. That's probably what they're trying to do those changes right before the biggest event and see if it sticks. But I don't know. To me, it doesn't change anything.
So awesome. What I thought would help if Asem was to go to that team, a lot of times we talk about how like Vivid was kind of left out to dry. His pace was really high. The other three weren't. What I think makes Asem a better fit for that lineup, whoever you think is better SMG, whatever. But the reason why I thought he was a better fit for that lineup is because Asem has learned over the years how to like shift gears. Like Vivid is just a very fast player, which is a great trait because that fits in the other lineups. But for this lineup, it didn't seem like it fit that well because the other three weren't having that pace. Asem can have that slower pace. You saw that on Minnesota. You've seen that for a couple of different iterations of different lineups over the last 3 years. That's one of the traits he's like tried to develop the most. So I think that would have helped that team because Asem can kind of go slower, and then Awakening, who's a slower sub, that works. Your SMGs or your ARs that were slower, if that was going to be Caesar and Major, that would have worked. It maybe would have worked a little bit better. They could have just been more of a methodical team. But so the top 3 SMG prospects that I've heard in North America are Fame, who's on Pander and Pentagram's team. I've heard Too Real, who's been on the Stallions, who was on Clay's team and Whatever It Takes, which was Major's team during the amateur run. And I've heard Vickle. So we scrim them a lot. And those 3 guys were the top 3 that I've heard. I don't know if they approached Fame, but they obviously approached Vickle. But since he's a student on a student visa this year, he can't be picked up, which is fine. I still love that they at least approached him. So the Too Real pickup, it could work. I'm actually kind of excited to see how he does. It kind of reminds me of Afro from last year coming in at the final stage. Like, who knows, he can make a name for himself and kind of lock in a roster spot next season. So we'll have to see. I'm actually kind of excited to see how he turns out.
Let's talk Boston, because they're on the other side of this, right? They've actually snapped Vivid up. And I think this is just another example of good stuff in the Boston breach in terms of management decisions. Because when Vivid is out there, we saw what happened last year when Vivid joined Dallas. I think he certainly improved that team. Yes, he had Shotzzy as his duo, and Crim was there, and iLLeY was there. But they were a great team towards the end. And Vivid said to me that he reckons that they should have won the World Championship last year. And this is just, again, for the Boston side. Like, they did a good job forming this team, I think, during the off-season. They picked up a lot of points early on in the year because the team clicked well, and now it's time to make a move, right? This team didn't last the test of time with other teams improving due to the lack of talent, and Vivid is just a talented guy. So he's come in, officially confirmed. Capstel's gone. I think maybe we said last week, but I think Capstel was the right man to go for now. They still can bring him back in if they need to, but I think I was generally more impressed with the decision making of Nero from what I saw at least recently, and I think in terms of impact, Nero was higher as well. What this does mean though, like Vivid, as you say, very aggressive SMG player with Nero, that is now one of like the fastest paced SMG lines you're going to find in the league. These guys are going to fly at you, and that's the Well, that's kind of the question with this team for me, is like, can Methods actually keep up with these guys? Because I know Methods likes to say he's a fast AR, but like, I don't know if this almost, if you now get pacing issues, that your SMG duo is too fast. And if that's the case, then maybe we swap out Nero for Capstel and try it again. But I do think this improves Boston. I like the move. I think their SMG duo lately was their weakest element of their setup. And I'm hopeful, well, I'm more confident with this change that Boston are going to make champs in Florida Arts than I was before. Before I would have said the other way around. Now I'm going to say Boston make it and Florida don't, if I had to choose which one's going to make it and who's not out of the two. So yeah, Austin, what are you reckoning about this Boston team? I mean, I think they've done a good thing. I mean, I think honestly, if I was Thieves, I would have also considered trying to get Vivid, but you know, it's Thieves and they think they're fine.
Yeah, I thought it was a good change. Vivid's a very talented SMG still. I just think he has certain talents that match well in certain lineups. So if they can build a lineup that suits his playstyle, it brings the best out of him, and he can be a really good SMG player. I had their SMG lineup probably ranked around like 10th or 11th going into this. Obviously, Paris has not done well, but outside of that, I was not very enthusiastic about how they've played as of late and for the whole season, honestly. So I thought a change did need to happen. I still don't know if they still need another piece to come in, but honestly, now you're pretty much too late into the season for that. But yeah, I do hope Vivid comes in and plays really well. It might be the same thing with like what we said about LAG, where they have two really aggressive SMGs. Who's gonna be taking the routes? Who's gonna be making the smart plays on the map? Because it can't just be your ARs doing stuff. It has to be more than one person, more than one role doing that. So I want to see who's taking the initiative to do some of the stuff that is good for the team and not just good for the individual. So like you're sacrificing for the team. So it will be interesting. I do hope that Boston makes it. I currently have them making it probably as the eighth seed going in the playoffs. So I hope they do well this stage.
It's interesting because like earlier in the season, like stage 1, stage 2, CODLe was probably like the highlight of this team along with Methods. Like they were the two leading the squad. And then when they fell off, it's like those two were the reason. And so they decided to get rid of CODLe. I feel like it's a very different change. Like Vivid's a very different player to CODLe. And so I can't like see exactly how this team is going to work. But I don't know. What do you reckon about the pacing difference between Vivid and CODLe and how that's going to make an impact?
Yes, that's the thing. It could go really well, but it could also be a detriment to the team because someone still has to make the routes. You can't just have highly aggressive players because if you don't develop your map pool on like Gavutu, on Berlin, rotational heavy maps, people are just going to ban out, Bocage, ban out Tuscan against you, and you're going to have to play some of those maps where someone has to be taking the smart routes, someone has to be making the smart plays. So it'll be interesting to see which of the players picks up the slack off of that.
Well, it'll have to be Nero, no? And then Zinni's going to probably benefit because I think Vivid's going to get into more engagements, get people more like weaker. And so on the map, there's going to be more opportunity for him to get free kills.
Yeah, well, it kind of seemed like Zinni, like their ARs like to be posted up in the power positions, and then their SMGs were getting aggressive ahead of it, and CODLe and sometimes like TJ, sometimes Nero were making routes. Now you're probably taking away CODLe, so somebody has to just fill that void. And it seems like if Vivid's going to be your really aggressive entry guy, how does that shift Nero? Like, does he still stay highly aggressive, or does he shift into more of a passive player? So that's just kind of I'm more excited to see how that team shifts because it seems like a big shift in like philosophy and like roles coming into this weekend, like right off the bat.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, look, they've got a lot to figure out, but I think on paper it's an upgrade, so I'm looking forward to seeing them in action. Speaking of Vivid, right, because this is kind of the final thing I wanted to mention on roster stuff before we do CODLe again, because you guys enjoyed that last week, and do predictions for week 1 here of the major, or at least pick out some highlight matches, is the whole Crimsix situation. There's a bit of beef. I don't really want to go into the beef again between Crim and Clay, because it gets tiresome at this point. But there was a point raised about Crimsix and the fact that every year he burns more bridges, right? Every year, pretty much, he'll play with someone and then fall out with them. And I think last year's, like, if you exclude last year's Dallas Empire, it probably doesn't look so bad because, like, look, when you're on a dynasty team with the likes of Formal and Scump, like, there's going to be some friction and falling out over like a 5-year period of team with them, right? Which is pretty much what they had. But Black Ops 4, TJ and Dashy didn't get along with Crim. Then we go into the more recent titles as well. Modern Warfare was fine, right, pretty much. But then more recently than that, the HECZ situation goes down after Clay leaves. Then after the end of the season, like Vivid comes in, and then Rambo said recently that Crim and Vivid didn't get on at all. Crim didn't even know his last name, all this type of stuff. And then at the end of the year, when the OpTic Dallas merger happens, Shotzi and iLLeY had the opportunity, if they wanted to bring Crim along with them to the new roster, decided not to and got Dashy instead. And Rambo even kind of seems to be happy to get rid of Crimsix, to be honest, after the way that season went. And now this season, you've got the Neptune stuff, now you've got the Clayster stuff. It's like, it's a constant thing where Crimsix is the common denominator of, let's just say, roster drama. Now, look, this guy knows how to win. I think playing with players that understand his style can be very successful still, as we've seen this year with the New York team at the Prime Classic. But the question is whether the new generation of star players, Hydra being one of them, but there's a few others out there, right? Like, I mean, you can look at, let's say, Toronto shit the bed or something, and then, Clinics is available or whatever the case might be. There's a few still younger star players out there. How many of them want to play with Crim anymore? Has he burnt his bridges kind of with his reputation to a degree where he's going to be unable to team with star players going forwards? Because his chance to team with Shotzzy, iLLeY is now gone. I don't know what happens with Hydra next year. Maybe Hydra wants to team with Crim again, which he might, but Hydra could just walk away from New York, go to a Thieves. I don't know, in which case Crim's probably not going to be there. It's tough to say which star players Crim gets to team with in the future. And it might be very slim pickings, right? So what do you think about that line? Because it's going to be tough for Crim. Every year he gets worse and worse teammates, effectively.
I think like with Crim, he's the perfect proving ground for like any young player to like prove that they're at that level. Like it's a sink or swim situation. Like Hydra proved he can, Shotzzy proved he can, and like these are the players that have stayed solidified in the scene. And so I think it's more a problem about him as a player getting less and less effective as his career goes on, as opposed to him burning bridges with players that can't withstand his like reign of terror. And so I think he'll be fine. He just needs to find that young talent, do like a Clayster sort of route, like Clayster did at the end of his career, teaming with like the best players, mentoring them towards, a championship, and then also lifting his stock at the same time. And so I think just he'll be fine. He just needs to get a team that will actually work around him and not create arguments, not fight back against him and think that they know better, because they don't know better than Crim.
I like it. You agree, Austin? Probably not fully.
I mean, so like going the youth route, it is a high risk because these guys don't know the same like protocols as like the older generation or the veteran players do. So you're taking a risk on teaching these guys and that they're going to develop the same way. We've seen rookies this year, like Seattle's rookies have developed like wonderfully. Lamar, which I still don't understand how people are doubting him, is a really good leader. There's a difference between being vocal and being a leader, and like that's a big difference between some of these players. No like disrespect to any of them, but like sometimes it's really hard to teach some of the younger guys, and sometimes there's some misconceptions. I think doing the youth route is a risk, because you could find a diamond in the rough, or you could just find players that just aren't doing enough for you. And if your individual performance slips, like it has this year for Crim just a little bit, then you're not going to be able to push the same ceiling as some of the other teams. So I don't know, it's tough. I can't see a future with Crim not being in the CDL, like especially like for like next year. I still think he's got like another year or two left of like taking some chances. I don't know. It's just really tough to say. Like some of these guys do not burn bridges, but like have soured experiences where they might not want to. They might, if they have a different option, might want to take that. But at the end of the day, if you want to win, everybody's going to put aside personal beefs or differences and try to reach that goal together. So even if like you saw it with like Clay, he got benched from a world championship winning team in Modern Warfare, and then still team with Crim, a year later. Like it's if you want to win, if you're going to do anything it takes to win, you're going to put aside petty beefs, like not liking somebody. Like you're going to try to win at all costs. So I'm not too worried about it. I still think he's going to have to target some veteran star power to build a team with, and then go from there. And maybe take a risk on like a rookie or two, but you still need veteran talent that you can build a system with and a team culture with, and go from there.
Absolutely. Okay, the final two things of the show. We're going to dive into CODLe again. We did it last week. It was probably marginally too easy. What we're going to do this week instead is we've got one to do each, which I think is going to be easier. And then we're going to do a team one at the end. So I'm going to try not to look at the chat, because the chat will probably help. But I will try and maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll need the chat's help. I don't know. I think there's hints and stuff as well. Okay, here we go. Each player will have a separate. Okay, it's a player CODLe with the first hint at the fourth guess. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, here we go then, baby. All right, we're back in business. So I think we do one each, and then it'll be spicy. So okay, I'm gonna start with five letters. I'm gonna start with Scump. Let's go. Lock it in, baby. Yeah, transition smooth. Who actually made that transition? Was Dad? Did Daz make that? Guessing Dubs made that. Wow. Okay.
Do I have to look at it on the stream?
I think so.
Eh.
That's probably the way it has to go. Okay, there's an M in here. Which player's name has an M in? That's actually kind of interesting. Wait, there's...
So I'm not meant to help you at all.
No, I don't think you're meant to help me. Okay, let's go rated. I want some more letters. Damn, I might. This could be hard. This actually could be hard. This could be hard, to be honest. Damn, I only get the E out of that. Damn, there's no way. What is this? Do you know, Austin?
No.
Okay. I was gonna say, am I being stupid here? Why can't I even think of someone with an M in? I feel like I've used a lot of letters up already. I want to be like Mad Cat, Bants. That's not gonna work. Okay. Major doesn't work either. This is like players from like all sorts of history. Yeah, you're right. Like methods and stuff. People were saying in the chat, but it can only be 5 letters. So, oh yeah, Maven. Because it's not going to be Maven, though, is it? Imagine. Wow. Could it be something like Maven? Could it start with an M? Yeah, you could. Wait, Maven's not going to help me though. It can't be it. It doesn't even have an A. It doesn't even have an A. I'm not wasting a guess on that. But I feel like this is hard though. For some reason, thinking of 5-letter players is difficult. Okay, let me think like last year. Metals, Lucky. What am I thinking of these type of players? Can't even beat any of those. Yeah, what do people say here? Yeah, people got to check. Oh, Karma's good actually with the M. Damn, you guys are gonna have to help me out. Oh, Mutex. Mutex is good. Mutex is really good shout.
Can't be a U though.
It's gotta be Money B. Wow, why did I not think of Money B before now? Yeah, he's got to be Embos, man. We've got to look at Embos. We've got to lock it in. That's a good shout from the chat right there. It has to be Embos. Why did I not think of this before now? Is it not it? It's not it.
It's not it.
Wow, I actually was convinced that was going to be it. Wow, okay, we have to go again here, chat. Wow, what other... Okay, but M's not at the start. E is not at the end or the second from the end. So maybe the E and the O are together. The thing is, like, when you do this normally, you think of, like, how the word is constructed. But for COD Pro names, it doesn't even work, you know what I mean? Venom is a good shout. It does Venom works.
Ooh.
Do I need? Should I take the hint because you guys have worked hard on the hints? So we'll take the hint.
B. It's gonna be got assassinated last year.
Appear? Yeah, I'm interested to see. Actually, Moose doesn't work because there's not green in the middle. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's got to be Venom. That's a good hint. It's a good hint. Yeah, good job, guys, with Venom. I was trying to think of last year's player. It's got to be Venom, right? Lock it in. Yeah, good job, chat. You helped me out on that one. That was tough. I would have had to think about that for quite a while. Yeah, good job, boys. I like the hint as well. Hint was good. Okay, not bad, not bad. That was good though. That was challenging. So anyway, I'm done. Lion, it's your go.
All right. So what is it? Each person will have a separate player, 1 hint, 4th guess.
That's what I did.
Okay. Okay, I need to think of a 5-letter player.
It's actually
this is hard.
It's weird. Isn't it?
Jimbo.
Wow, I like it. Is he in the list?
Oh, no.
Is he not even on
you got no letters.
We got no letters.
There's no letters.
We gotta go. We gotta go again. One late. I mean, you've done well. You got rid of 2 vowels though. So now we're thinking like.
Oh, you can still have an
yeah, Spot is a good
and
shout.
an E.
Spot is a good shout. Spot. Just waiting for it.
Oh, okay.
S. T. S and T. Okay, hold on. Starts with an S. Shit. Yeah. S. So are you saying that it is an ex-player? Is that a cheeky hint? Okay. S. I'm trying to think. ST. No. Oh god damn. Oh, study is a good one. Study's good. Someone said Stainville. Yeah, bro.
Study technically has 2 Ys, I think. But, you know, maybe we'll let it pass if it's the right answer.
Yeah.
Oh, it's coming in. It's coming in.
Oh, Rab's fuming.
I'm fuming. I'm fuming. That is definitely a double Y. What's the hint?
Oh, bro, I got no letters, and then I used the chat twice and got shot, boys. Pretty sure that was turtle.
Oh, I like the hint for Lando.
Oh no, turtle did and study. Yeah, thank you, turtle, my guy.
Good job. Good job, chat. Good job.
All right.
You know, I'll pass that. I don't know if I'd have got that because I would have been thinking study has 2 Ys. But, you know, it's okay. Sostin's go.
I'll do Dashy. Get some good letters in there.
5 is like the perfect number because like you don't get too many clues. Like if it's 6 letters, you get too many clues and it makes it like there's only like a few combinations you can have, I think.
Okay. A little tough. I'm gonna try to get some more letters, so I'm gonna just guess a random person real quick. I'm gonna do trying to think of someone we haven't done yet. Do on ends with a Y too. Damn it! Everything ends with a Y.
Alex.
Do Gizmo.
No S, but it's all good.
Yeah. We'll get 4 other letters in there. Let's see. Okay, starts with a G and has a Godorex.
Oh, you've done well there.
Godorex.
Godorex is probably it.
Yeah. Hit me with it.
That was a good shout.
There we go.
Gizmo was a good shout. Second word. That was a good shout.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah.
I like that.
That was good. That was better than before.
Yeah.
I struggle with my one. Okay.
Anything COD related.
Is this what we're doing now? Yeah.
Good lord.
We all go
anything COD.
So no. We're all together here.
COD or anything COD? Anything COD. Okay. Damn. So should we like any weapon or map or anything?
Should we put in like spawn?
We want to do a good letter with like vowels and stuff. I was thinking like we can get a good map with like 2 with like a couple of I was thinking like crash or something, but like that only has 1 vowel. I kind of want to like get the E and the A. That's why rated I thought was good when I did that first. I know it's not going to be rated, but like that'd be good for the letters because you get the R, the A, the T, and the E.
Can we just chuck rated in there?
I think we'll chuck rated in there. I think we'll get good letters from that. We might as well give it a go. Unless as a cave counts.
Just the E.
We had the E, man. Okay,
what about Berlin?
The 6.
Oh no, that's 6. Fuck yeah.
Okay. This is gonna be weird. Omar's gonna have some weird shit going on here, like jetpack or something. Okay, well let's change tack and let's go. We've done a player. Let's do a map. I think round 2. Okay, what map do we even get with an E in? Okay, I'm thinking.
I was thinking Fringe, but that's 6.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
And then no R.
Yeah, no R. Okay, let me think. Black Ops 3 maps. Why have I thought of Havoc from Black Ops 3? What a terrible map.
Someone said knife in the chat.
Knife.
Oh,
I like that. Do that one.
Kind of nice.
Let's get some letters in there.
Yeah, let's do knife. I like that. Good shout from Sheriff COD. We can chuck that in just to see. Okay. We get a hint now, or
so the E has to be at the beginning of the word too. All right, hit us with a hint.
Or okay.
Treyarch. So it's either a Treyarch gun or map.
Treyarch gun or like design, you know. But I'm thinking, like, what's specific to Treyarch games? Apart from it's a map. Ranked. Actually, ranked isn't too bad. It always works. Yeah, okay. Maybe it's not Treyarch specific. Maybe it is just a Treyarch game. or trade game feature. Okay, so the N isn't second. The N is... Okay, could the E be at the start? The E's probably in the middle. It's probably like EN.
What about Yemen?
Oh, it's a good shout.
Oh,
That
but
is
it can't
plausible.
E, second E.
The E can't be there. Damn, that's tough. Damn, drone. Wow, what a map, man. Drone, honestly, I mean, we might as well go for that because then we get the O. We could try the O. Oh, no, but you can't be drone because the E's not at the end there, so it's pointless to go for. Sorry, I don't know if you locked in already, Omar, but I'm not locking that in.
It's pointless. Don't do it.
Yeah, pointless. Don't do it. Neslo. Damn.
Yeah, but what has he got to do with Treyarch?
I don't know. But like that would be good help though, no? We get the S, we get the O out there. I think Neslo's honestly not the worst shout in the world.
All right, do that. We just need some letters.
Yeah, we need, and we get more information from that. I guarantee it's going to be yellow again. No, we get the E and we get the O. Okay, this is all right. So we're thinking EO, and then we've got another constant at the start.
No, because E's second.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking like E. I'm thinking in the middle. I'm wondering where the O goes. The O's probably second last. Wait, what's going on, Omar? You know what it is? Could it be on? Could it end in on? Like, but what would be specific? Yeah, recon. Yeah, like recon, but it can't be recon.
R though at the start. Fuck, man.
Man, this is tough. This is
hard.
Tough. The chat's gonna have to go rogue with this one. Man, I'm fuming. What is track specific that we can't get here? I think it's ON. Have you fucked it? Oh no.
No.
Oh no, this is a disaster class. All right, well let's just go again.
So it's nothing.
We might have screwed it up, ladies and gentlemen.
What happened?
Oh, it could have been. Okay, whatever. We go again. Oh, that was Venom. I see. We were trying to get Venom again. Okay, so we have the right link this time. Okay, honestly, chat. Apologies for the brief delay as we tried to get Venom but couldn't get it right. So we're gonna go again. Effectively, CR 1600. I think we went to the wrong link and we were doing Venom again, which is where we ran into some issues there.
Venom.
Yeah, it's so funny that I was like really looking into that.
All right, so we're running it again. Oh, we're running it again.
Okay, we're running it again, baby. Okay, I mean, we want to start with rated again. I'm down. Is this the right link this time, Emma? So 6 letters. There we go. That makes sense.
Damn, fringe.
Okay, we've already got the track kit here. We've got to go fringe. Get it right in there. We're gonna have clues for days, surely. It's definitely not Berlin. Oh, okay. G and N, and the E at the end. That's nice. That's a good start. I'm thinking like a weapon from back in the day, like. I wanted it to be gun game, but it doesn't work. But that is that's kind of like a track specific thing, right? The party games.
Yeah, they were.
God, I don't know. Maybe I'm just making stuff up in my head at this point. Oh, jungle is good. Man, if we get it in 2, that would be really painful for Omar, all the work.
I think it will be jungle, eh?
We got to go for it. Chat said it, and it's looking good. Let's give us the last hint. Give us the last hint if it's going to be necessary. Otherwise we're not going to see it. I don't know. Yeah, okay. Wow, this is the thing with 6 letters, though. I think so. It is jungle. Well done, chat. I was actually thinking dredge as well, but yeah, jungle's good job. The issue is with 6 letters, you get so many clues that like there's only very minimal things it can be. But jungle's a good shout. Well done to the chat. I think we'd have got that, to be fair ourselves. But good work, everyone. We got there at the end. We tried to get Venom twice and failed, nearly. And then we got jungle at the end. Anyway, good job. Thanks to the chat for participating. Good fun, as per usual. Before we close out the show, though, we're going to do major 1 predictions. Major 1 predictions, bloody hell, I'm living in the past. Major 4 predictions. I just want to kind of run through this week and kind of what we're thinking here. I don't really want to go through predict every single game, but here we go. We got the schedule up on screen. Actually, I'm pretty sure the CDL just tweeted out a better version of this, but whatever, this will do. So yeah, here are the matches. Day 1 is Florida, New York, OpTic versus Boston, Toronto versus LAG. You guys can see the games if you can't see them. I'll just link them in the chat again real quick. Let's just pick out like a couple of note here. Personally, I'm really looking forward to New York versus LAG. I think that's a massive series because New York, it depends what happens against Mutineers, but I feel like New York, let's say they beat Mutineers and this is to go 2-0, then like this is like they might be having some confidence because New York go into this knowing that their first week they play their easiest games. Like they have to win both these games effectively if they want a chance because their schedule only gets harder from here. But yeah, New York versus LAG is a banger for so many reasons because LAG need to win every single series they play. They've probably at this point already lost to Toronto and they need to get some points on the board, as do New York. And you've got the Neptune versus Crimsix thing. It doesn't get any spicier than that. So that's kind of my highlight of the week. What do you reckon, boys?
My highlight is New York versus LAG, just because of the storylines. Do we know like where it says bounty match? Is it just the match below that's the bounty match?
Yeah, it's terribly organized on the website, but yeah, they're doing it this time spread over like 4 weeks or like over the 3 weeks. So only 2 games are bounty games.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked if New York versus LAG was the bounty match. Like, give the matches that have the obvious storyline, the one that's worth more money, I guess. Maybe that could be a way they could do it. It's just like, oh, this is a big storyline match. Chuck 10 grand on it, and it's
that
like,
would be nice.
You know,
wow, I can't wait for Florida, New York. Whoa.
I think the biggest match for me, I want to see OpTic Texas versus Rocker. I want to see how if Prolute is back on the squad and how he's going to fit in, and then how they're going to do against Rocker, who look like unbeatable online. So I think that's the match I want to see the most. I think seeing Seattle Surge play again will be sick. Playing against Paris Legion, probably going to be a sweat fest. But I think, yeah, those 2 matches, OpTic Texas, Rocker, and then Seattle versus Paris, just because I want to see OpTic and Seattle, see how they're doing.
I probably have Toronto and London, the battle of the EU teams. I think that's gonna be a good one because London's obviously coming back in with Gizmo. Toronto's trying to keep up the momentum they have from the last like tournament, and so I think that one's a good one because London's kind of in danger of falling down the standings a little bit. So they'll need to reach the levels they were before. So I think that will be a good one. It'll be a good like AR battle. I want to see how they're clicking.
Well, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining the show. That's going to do it for this week. We had a great show, did all sorts of different stuff, plenty of news today, and we're going to leave it there for now. So by this time next week, we shall have everything going on. We've got all the confirmations. We've got the first weekend of matches has concluded, and we're looking forward to it. I mean, look, COD is back. This is the key moment, right? And thankfully, going into this major compared to the previous ones or these qualifiers, like everything matters still. You know, like last year, there were a lot of games in those stupid groups that were a lot worse. So for all the slack I gave CDL at the start of the show, the fact that the format is such that every single game right now is still of importance is, some of them will still be boring, like Seattle versus Paris, who cares? But, within reason, most of the games are important and matter, and storylines are still very much on the line. So I'm happy about it. We're going into the final week excited, or the final set of weeks excited. Final thoughts, Lion, before we finish out the job?
No, not really. I'm just glad that COD is back. We've had so many breaks this year that it feels like it's on and off and losing momentum, but just glad that we've kept some content up during the way. We're kind of carrying over here at Breaking Point, so good to see that they're playing their part by putting matches back on.
Yeah, I'm just excited to get the final stage going. Get ready for champs. There's obviously a lot of storylines going on with which teams are going to make it. I hope there's just matches that are so crucial at the end of the stage that everyone's gonna be tuning in for. So I'm really excited to see how that plays out, and hopefully it's a good good end to the year. Even though Vanguard wasn't the best game for everybody, there has been a lot of good matches. So I'm glad that it's still been a decent game to watch competitively with all like the craziness. So. Yeah.
I think the craziness helped a lot. Like this year, storyline wise, has been potentially the best in the CDL era, probably the best. And then how competitive this year has been. I mean, first year it was a bit strange with online. Second year it was you guys at FaZe, and now it's just like whoever shows up at the major wins. So I think this year's been great. It's just the game itself. I think next year we'll have way more viewership just because it's Modern Warfare, and only up from there.
Absolutely. I agree with that sentiment. I was kind of thinking, like, imagine this game this year with all the storylines and great teams and drama was played on Black Ops 3. And then I decided to stop thinking because it was too depressing. But that's going to do, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks all for watching live on YouTube and Twitch and after the fact on all the podcast platforms. We appreciate you week in and week out. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time.